big tent. Republican Party was meant for everyone. So, yes, those Democrats, not the Dixiecrats, because they stuck with the Democrats, but the racist Democrats at the time, some of them in some of the states, some of the southern states, not all of them, and not most of them, and not the majority of them, but some of them decided that they were going to go over to the Republican Party because they thought they'd be able to change the Republican Party. The bad thing about that, or I should say the good thing about it, bad for the Democrats who switched over, we also know that after that vote, but in the 70s, they switched back because they could not change the base of the Republican Party to hate blacks. Ronald Reagan saw them switch back to the Democratic Party. That is also historical fact. So this whole notion that all of the wonderful slave-loving and racist Democrats flew over to the Republican Party and the Republican Party opened their arms and embraced them and kept them over there is a big fat lie because it's not based on historical data and historical fact. Look it up. That's all I can say to you. Look it up. They did not stay. Because this was not the party of that kind of thought. Hell, this was the party of Lincoln. It's still the party of Lincoln. The party of people who hated slavery. The party of the North that went to war with the South, which, by the way, it wasn't the only reason that Abraham Lincoln went to war with the South. The reason wasn't just slavery. It was one of, I do believe, 17 reasons for the war between the states. Slavery was one of those reasons, and it was a big reason. It wasn't the most important in Lincoln's reason on his reason list, but it was a big reason. I love it wasn't over slavery, Rod. The Civil War wasn't over slavery. No, it was, but it was a war over slavery and 16 other issues. Now, we can debate whether or not Lincoln actually should have done such a thing. Did he usurp the power of the states by doing it? That's a separate debate. I understand that. That can be a lively debate about that. And I know there are people out there that are thinking that Lincoln definitely established a very strong and overbearing federal government. And there, to some degree, I cannot argue against that. With every decision, there's good and bad. There's good and bad with every decision. Well, not every. I mean, even with accepting Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, there is some bad aspects to that on the human side. On the spiritual side, there's no down. All upturn. You accept spiritually. That's just a 100% win. But on the human side here on this earth, there are some bad aspects to it. People are not gonna like you. Groups or certain religions that are going to rally against you and probably even try to kill you because you've accepted Jesus. So with every decision on this planet, no matter how good the decision is, there's going to be some bad to it. It's just humankind, human society. It's the way it is. I know some people are saying, well, I never thought of that, Rod. But you're right. Look, there's nothing that you and I do as a human being is 100% perfectly good 100% of the time. It's just not humanly possible. It doesn't mean that we can't strive for that type of perfection. And should always try to be their best. But we have to understand that there is always a multitude of reasons behind something. Well, not always. Well, yeah. But when you come to liberals, why do liberals do what they do? Well, they have a multitude of reasons for doing what they do. They have a hierarchy of reasons, of course, but there's a multitude of them. It's just not one reason. You can't look at Obama and say the one reason that he does everything that he does because he hates America. Hates America. Well, I'm convinced that the man does not love this country, but that's not the only reason he does what he does. A multitude of reasons. I don't care how simplistic you think somebody is. Nobody is simple. Everybody is complicated because they have a multitude of reasons for doing whatever it is that they do. Now, you can understand those multitude of reasons, and then you can react to those multitude of reasons with, a multitude of reactions if you choose. Nobody's ever going to... look at football. There's a lot going on the field on each play. It's not just give the ball to the quarterback gives the ball to the running back or fullback, and he goes up the 7 hole, and you block and open up the 7 hole so he can run up that 7 hole and get 4 or 5 yards. No, there's a lot more to it than that. And so it is with anything else in life, including politics and including history. However, because there's a multitude of stuff to history, and at any historical moment there's a number of things going on, it doesn't mean that you get to rewrite it. Liberals are very good at trying to rewrite history. They are very good at trying to rewrite history. The problem is that they cannot erase history. They cannot erase the truth of it. And the truth is, especially with the internet, the truth is available to anyone if you're willing to look it up. The internet is now starting to produce and have articles and books that were printed at the time of early American history. You don't have to even go to the library. You can go to the library if you want and find this stuff, but you don't even have to go to the library now. You can get a lot of these publications online for free. And these are written in first-person accounts oftentimes. And I know some people will say, well, you can't one particular view, right? Well, no, but you can read a multitude of first-person accounts, and you start to see a common theme and a common story. It's kind of like, the 4 Gospels. 4 Gospels are written by 4 different people. But we get to see a common... Sure, they each have their own separate, distinctive views or what they saw and what they experienced while being with Christ. But there's also a lot of commonality between the 4 Gospels, where these 4 men saw exactly the same thing, believed exactly the same thing, experienced exactly the same thing, and they wrote it in their own words, but they're telling us the same story. So we've got confirmation. So this is the same thing with the American Revolution and the Civil War. We've got lots of confirmation, lots of similar and same stories written by different people from different places, but written at the same time, about the same time. So we got confirmation about what really happened and what the real story is, and that is why the liberal left cannot succeed in changing the historical record. And we can see that they're trying. And you can say that they're succeeding until you actually bring up truth, and then they fold like a house of cards. I know. Look, you have to be careful when you do something, and I'm going to say this about Ted Cruz. Now, I know, I'm going to get into the debate. And, there are some polls out there. Most of the polls that I've seen this morning clearly have Donald Trump as the winner. But I got to tell you, I was kind of surprised. Cruz probably did a little bit of damage to himself. And it's in Donald, this whole birther issue. I wish it didn't come up, but I get the point. And I don't. When Cruz tried to reverse it and say, well, there are people out there that say that your parents have to be born in America in order for you to be born in America. that was a mistake on Cruz's part. Because that's such a small faction in this country. That's akin to those types of people are usually members of the chemtrail society. There is nothing in the Constitution that says that your parents have to be born here, citizens, and be born here for their children to be. I mean, that's the most asinine thing I've ever heard of. Nothing in the Constitution says that, because frankly, that would have eliminated some of our presidents that were elected back within the first 100 years of this country, of this country's founding. So that is not a legitimate. What it means is that you have to have your one of your parents has to be a citizen. It doesn't say your parent has to be a natural born citizen. One of your parents has to be a citizen at the time of your birth. Now, the argument comes as well, were you born in a soil or not? Question that a lot of people have. And they're saying, look, there's a quarter of Republicans think that Cruz is not eligible to be president simply because he was born in Canada and not on American soil, like an American embassy or military. Not eligible. So that's a problem for Ted. That really is a problem. And you can't change that historical record. He was born in Canada. He did have a dual citizenship for a while. And there are people who are saying you can't have a dual citizenship and be president. And indeed, Cruz did renounce his Canadian citizenship less than 2 years ago, though. I'm actually having trouble trying to figure this one out. Ted, why did you wait until like 18 or 19 months ago to renounce your Canadian citizenship if you've always considered yourself to be an American? Now, people are legitimately asking. That's a legitimate question. Now, as much as I like Ted Cruz, that is a legitimate question. Now, for Ted to go and say, well, Donald Trump isn't a natural-born citizen because his mother was Scotch, born in Scotland, that's a bunch of BS. His dad, was a natural-born citizen, if you want to put it that way, Joseph Trump, and he was born in the United States. I mean, well, he's Scotch. Well, yeah, and, Cruz, you're Latino. So what? But the point, maybe we do need to have somebody actually figure out this natural born once and for all so it doesn't keep floating up and floating around. I know what people are talking about. Well, you guys all said that Obama wasn't, so this is just the same. Well, no, we're not saying that Obama. People are not saying that Obama wasn't a natural-born citizen because he was Hawaii. People were saying that he wasn't born in Hawaii, that he was born in, and they were saying because he was born in Kenya, that made him ineligible to be president. He wasn't a natural-born citizen. Now, those same people. Quarter of Republicans that were polled, those same people are saying the same thing about Ted Cruz. They're being consistent. You got the left saying, well, you guys were all against Obama not being a citizen. What about Ted Cruz? And the poll is showing that those people who were questioning Obama's birthright citizenship are actually saying the same thing about Ted Cruz. So they are being consistent. Whether they're right or not, I don't know. I'm not a constitutional scholar. But I can tell you that they are being consistent, and the question is legitimate. It is legit. And if you don't like it, I'm sorry. Then change the Constitution. If it comes out, if they read it the way it's supposed, if they read it correctly, whatever the correct way is to read, if it reads that you have to be born on American soil in order to be a natural-born citizen, then as good as Ted Cruz may or may not be, he cannot be president of the United States. And you have to be consistent about it, plain and simple. That's all I'm saying.